Hello, everyone. This is Ashish from Ashishveda, Natural Fertility, Natural Health Rejuvenation. We're going to talk about everything about health and especially holistic health. How can we keep ourselves fit and healthy holistically? Every Friday, I do this live with another expert guest who is also on the same wavelength, same like minded people, women, men who are interested in holistically keeping us healthy. And today we have wonderful Sue Ritchie, who I have been connected with for a while. And she is also another wonderful fertility coach. So we're going to have a good chat. Feel free to listen, comment, compliment, ask a question. And welcome, Sue.
Thank you very much, Ashish. It's really great to be here.
And I love the color you're wearing.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. It's my favorite color.
Yeah, turquoise blue is just has that, it has something. It's a very fresh color.
I think it's. I also love green as well, but it's sort of a combination of the blue and the green together.
Mixture, yes.
Yeah.
So please tell me also, because we haven't had a chat before, how did you get into doing what you're doing now? And give us a little bit of, backdrop to how you became a fertility coach.
Okay. I suppose it's that there are sort of two or three strands, I suppose, that sort of come together to want me to want to do this.
Yeah.
The first one is very much that I love children. I've always loved children, but I also found myself through life situations, if you like, always wanting to have children, but found myself at 30 single, thinking that this would never happen for me.
Right.
Luckily, I did actually conceive the first time when I was 36. I had my son, and then I had my daughter, who I conceived when I was 39. So, I'm in that range where I was called, if you like, by the doctors,
Yeah.
elderly or whatever the terminology
Geriatric
is.
mother.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but obviously, I'm really grateful and delighted that I have those two wonderful children. But because of that, I really understand, how women who find themselves in that situation and, and things aren't happening, in terms of conception and stuff like that, because you can get really sort of dragged down into, real sort of negativity, and unfortunately, our negative voice loves to really sort of get into the nitty gritty when we're in that situation of, and beliefs come up around, well, I don't deserve to be a mother, or, this isn't ever going to happen to me. And, when we get ourselves into that, actually, it's very easy for, our bodies listen to what our minds are telling us and what we're believing. And that actually could get in the whole way of conception happening.
Yeah.
So the other sort of string to it was that I, well, probably about 12, 14 years ago now, was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, and that was a really, for me, it was a wake-up call. That's the only way I can describe it. And wake-up call to really look at how I was living my life, what was happening, what was going on. And I suppose, to cut a sort of long story short, I was struggling with not only being constantly tired, I had horrendous brain fog, I had horrendous memory problems. Yeah. And I had joint pain, so I was finding like I like to go out to have walks in nature, and that was difficult. Obviously had digestive problems as well, bloating and wind and things like that. But I think the thing that really sort of led me on a new journey was that I had already been experiencing sort of alternative health approaches, if you like. I used to have terrible problems with sinuses, and visited an alternative health practitioner. And by changing things in my diet, and she identified a few things where, I had allergies and stuff. And one of those, obviously a big one, there was dairy. And basically I then never had any problems again. So going to see a doctor about the Hashimoto's, I was going in, oh, well, said to them, I can get my immune system back on track, and I can get myself well again. And I was really quite shocked by the response that I got, because I was pretty much, actually shouted at to say that it was absolutely impossible, and I'd be on medication for the rest of my life.
To heal from Hashimoto's?
Yes, I did. So that led me on a journey to really look at my life, and I knew that I was running my own business, a direct marketing business, had staff and things like that, but I knew I needed to take a step back. And really I sort of shrunk the business, in the sense of making the people that work for me redundant, took the business back home, just like I was going to work with my existing clients. And because I knew I needed to take up time out, I started doing a lot of meditation, going for walks in nature. But I was determined, after I came out of that doctor's surgery, that I would find a way to get myself well again, simply because the sort of prospect of, I knew I wanted to do a lot more with my life. I had much more I wanted to achieve, wanted to be in a place where, if I had grandchildren, I could be running around with them, chasing them and all of that sort of stuff. So for me, it was like I sort of came out there with this determination to find exactly how I could get myself well again. So I did a lot of research, and interestingly enough, it was really actually through meditation that the answer came to me. And that was quite a shock, because one day this word just popped into my head after I'd done some meditation, and the word was Candida. And that led me on a journey of researching, looking into Candida. And I think I actually found a website of a functional medicine doctor in the US. And when I went to her website, I looked at all the symptoms, if you like, of problems, really of poor gut health. And it was like tick, 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 which was interesting. And so that then sort of, was, I then took myself through a whole sort of protocol and changing my diet. And one of the things I learned was that gluten was a really key thing that I needed to take out of my diet. I also cut sugar out as well, and also continued with not having dairy. And
she's just going berserk, the postman. Sorry, can you still hear me? You okay?
I can, yes, yeah.
Right,
so so basically, I took my throat through the whole sort of protocol of healing my gut, and with natural supplements as well involved in that process, as well as changing diet. But also, and then seriously, within a couple of months of doing that, I started to feel a hell of a lot better. All the symptoms started to go away. Within 3 months, I was really back to sort of feeling how I should feel without any of these symptoms. And basically then really sort of continuing on that process after 18 months, I just over that 18-month period was cutting back on the thyroxine, just listening to my body. And eventually I got to the point after about 18 months when I didn't really need it anymore, and everything was back to normal, if you like.
Wow.
But
So
sorry, go on.
How long ago was this?
This was about 12 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. So I want to explore a little bit more on that, but please continue. You were saying something.
And I was going to say, but it also was a journey of actually looking at my own lifestyle, how I lived my life. I've always been what I would call, I suppose, a workaholic. And I had this huge realization that the whole sort of work ethic, if you like, was how I found my self-worth. My whole self-worth and self-value was really tied up with, being in the working environment, doing work, if you like. So it was quite a big thing for me to actually step back, put some boundaries in place, of finishing work at 5:30, 5 o'clock, and leaving it at that. And also, I'd always been in that situation with clients where people say, oh, I want it tomorrow, I want it today, sort of thing. And, finding myself working till, midnight or whatever to get something prepared for somebody, only to find that, after delivering the work and then, following up with them, that they hadn't even looked, after a week they hadn't even looked at what I delivered, and yet it was supposed to be so urgent that I suddenly realized it was like, oh, hang on a minute, I need to start putting realistic things in, and if it's in timings, if you like, which actually fitted in with my work. And I think so often we get into this. There are many people, I think, who behave like this. I'm not the only one. That we're just what actually happens is that actually people respect us more when we put those boundaries in place. And and it also, from the client point of view, it shows that you're actually busy, because you can't do my work because you've actually got other clients that you're actually servicing as well, that you need to get their projects delivered to. So there were a lot of sort of personal things, and I really realized that I wasn't really living my life in true alignment with who I really was as a person. Always been a people pleaser, huge perfectionist, and and it was that realization that none of those things were actually serving me. And and I know I probably had other wake-up calls earlier on in my life, which I chose to ignore because I wasn't really there. And I think that so often the universe will give us these nudges that we need to look at the way we're living life, because we're probably I think we just so often get on this automatic pilot, and we're just sort of going through the motions of living every day, but we're not actually, feeling great about ourselves. We're not actually feeling healthy. We're not feeling good, because we're not prioritizing our own self-care and our own well-being.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's there are so many questions in there, also so many lessons in there as well, for somebody who might be listening. And we'll talk about that. How long have you been a fertility coach now?
I've been doing fertility coaching now since, I suppose, just literally probably just before the pandemic started. And it's really sort of bringing all of those situations, learning about gut health and, wanting children, but also seeing children today, coming into the world. We've got more children coming into the world not healthy, young children having, ill health, and, and also, adults, if you like, aren't healthy. And for me, I just think it's so important that as, we become parents, that we show up as the best version of ourselves, and we actually show our children that it's important to eat, healthy food, look after our health, make it a real priority, to be conscious of our mindset, of how we're thinking, not to be negative, to be positive. And, when we practice self-love to ourselves, we're going to pass that on to our children.
Yeah, 100%. I think this is, it's so crucial, and some of the things we don't understand. And also, because the modern medicine, the way it is telling people is that you have a symptom, you take a pill, and that has really screwed up the mindset in, where we are not doing a longer term work, not getting the foundations right. Like, I spoke to a lady just this morning as well, and already had one failed cycle. Okay, so going for the next one, morphology is only 2%. It needs to be at least 4% and plus, as you know.
Yeah.
And going for next cycle and taking all sorts of supplements, which is fine. That is one part of the puzzle. And I said, you still have some time to prepare for 6 months. Your partner also needs to prepare fully, because otherwise you're heading for another failed cycle,
Yeah.
And then when it comes to also the mindset related to your work and my work, because it is privately paid. When she mentioned how much it is and I mentioned how much it is, and then it's like, no, we are doing IVF. But you don't realize that for you to have a successful IVF, you need to do this work. It's not optional, it is compulsory. But I find
Absolutely. I
that
totally agree.
so mind boggling, as well as so. I'm not frustrated for myself. It's just that I can see what it is doing to those women, you
Yeah.
know. And also, I don't know why women are covering up for men, because men
Well,
are not doing the work.
no, and they really need to work. It is, you need healthy eggs, you need healthy sperm, but you have to do the preparation. Uh, you know, it's
Yeah,
it's not just about taking a few supplements. It's about eating the right foods. It's about having the right mindset, and being able to deal with the mindset so that you actually can, you know, positively deal with challenges that come along in life.
yeah,
And and it's like everything, there isn't a quick fix. And as you say, taking the time to prepare for a minimum of 3 months, but really 6 months,
yeah,
to really get everything in the right place. And gut health is a huge problem for so
yeah.
many people today, with the foods that people eating, with stress and with medications, alcohol. All of the things have an impact on how our gut's performing. But I don't think people realize how
No,
much how important the gut is, not only for just our overall health, but our mental well-being as well. And anxiety is a factor of having poor gut health. It's not just a mental issue. And the
I
fact that hormones are balanced and managed in the gut, so an estrogen, particularly.
it is. Yeah,
So, and obviously this comes into play as well with the whole, with so many people suffering from PCOS as well.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I get stressed looking at people stressing out, and I'm thinking, what are you stressed out about? It's like, oh my God, it's such a huge issue in terms of anxiety, because I know, and in where we are in Holly Street, there are two main people there as practitioners who are, in that building. One is Botox, fillers, and all these skin people. And secondly, anxiety people who are, and, psychotherapy psychologists, counselors who are working on anxiety. And I'm thinking, why is there so much anxiety? What are we anxious about? Which is also a learned behavior. We learn this. If you have an anxious parent, you're going to learn this as you grow up, right? But it
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
all of this, where it is then affecting your fertility. And there is so much education that is needed in this. I just finished a challenge, as you must have seen me
Yes,
posting
yes, I
stuff,
saw that. That's really good.
and I've got the results of that, because they were filling out forms. So I've got like kind of data from that. Yeah. And even, what was it? 100% of them or 80% of them have got either PMS or clots or something with the periods. And we know that that is an issue related to your estrogen being high, or something else is going on. Yeah.
Yeah,
100% of them have that issue. And then so many of them, 80%, don't know. They've never charted their basal temperature. So they have no connection to their own body,
yeah,
right? And that is basic information, at least for those who are trying to get pregnant. These are the women who are trying to get pregnant. I'm not talking about normal women who get pregnant accidentally. Those are fine because they probably never have to look at it.
yes,
But
exactly.
there is no information, and that is why there is so much confusion about what women can do, and what they're not doing. And men, I am just, every single time I'm doing live and talking about it, it's like, what are your husband's numbers like? He's fine. He's okay. His numbers are good. He's healthy. And when you really dig deep, that that's not the case.
That's true. And I think that there's I think we've got, the bar, if you like, of where we think we are being healthy today has come down so low that there are so many things that, and bloating and digestion and wind and things like that, we see all those adverts on the television for all of those, products that's supposed to help with. And I think it just becomes, in our psyche that those things are normal. But they're not normal. They're actually one of the earliest signs that things are actually not right in your gut. And the gut just covers, what happens in your gut has such an influence on the whole functioning of the whole body, of all the hormones that control all the organs and everything.
Yeah.
But nobody really talks about this. And I have so many conversations with my clients, who are seeing fertility consultants and stuff like that. And they're great. Obviously they're doing a good job, but they're not talking to patients about diet. They're not talking to patients about nutrition. They're not talking to patients about gut health. They don't have the time either to be able to support people emotionally. Their focus is very much on the physical, and that's simply because that's their skill set, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah. Did you conceive naturally, Sue?
Yes,
Yeah.
both times.
Both times. Okay. Fantastic. And did you, when you look back, because then you were not a fertility coach at that time, right? So when you look back, what did you do right, or did you take help from someone?
No, but I think one of the things that I've been really blessed with is that growing up, my mum liked cooking. We always had all freshly cooked meals,
Yeah.
and for me also, I've always cooked meals from scratch, all natural products. Yes, okay, occasionally, I probably had more bought stuff, and I think that, I was always brought up with, eating fresh vegetables, eating fresh fruit was really important. So, I feel blessed that I had that upbringing, if you like, but also, I like cooking as well. And I get a pleasure from actually preparing a freshly cooked meal. And, even if we have friends around or family, it's really nice you get a sense of fulfillment and a little buzz, if you like, when you know that you've actually been feeding people a really good healthy meal and they've enjoyed it.
Yeah. I'm not a cook. I don't, that's my least passion, is to do cooking. I like to do other things, and cooking is the only thing that I really don't like. I mean, I of course promote and I do everything. I do cook, but it is not my hobby or passion. It does not. Same like you said, my daughter says, "Mommy, this is so relaxing," and I'm like, "No, it's not for me." It doesn't relaxes me. I don't find that kind of joy. I find that joy in reading books or maybe doing something else. So everybody has their own way to channel that creative energy, and cooking is not mine. But I'm happy to hear that that's where probably your health came from, because in my case, I don't know if you're aware, I have IVF twins. They're 16-year-old now. And when I joined the dots, going back, and we conceived in the 10th year of our marriage. So after 10 years we had, and we are both healthy, not on any contraceptive, no issues health wise. But looking back, I was taking herbal medicines almost for 2 years, with my teacher, because I was studying herbal medicine at that time. Like you, healthy food, fresh food, doing yoga every single day, which is what I was doing, breathing and everything else. I think all of that put me in that place where when we did IVF, it worked like magic,
Yeah.
I went for my appointment. 3 weeks later, I was pregnant. It was just so quick. So that's why I asked you that question, that when we joined the dots, going back, there is something right, obviously, we did, because of which, and I conceived at 34.
I
Um,
also think, if I think about it now, I also think I don't believe I ever had a thought that it wouldn't happen.
same, same.
I really, yeah, I didn't, because, and I became pregnant very quickly once we decided. I think in both cases it was a couple of months, and then I was pregnant.
Nice. Because I have that, and I see this with my patients as well. Women who are of that mindset, and I had the same. I never, ever that thought came to my mind that it is not going to happen for me, you know. Um, and with my patients also, I've seen the ones who say that I'm going to have this baby, and I particularly think of one patient who conceived at 46. She started with me 42, went through so many different things. But even when she came first time, she was so focused, and she said, I'm going to have this baby. And that's it. There was just no doubt, no question
Yeah.
in her mind that if what, then can I, not I, there was nothing like that. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, I think I've noticed that as well with my clients, is that ones that are, but then also I think the other thing is it's also the ones that who are 100% committed to really making the changes that they need to make,
Yeah.
and really follow everything and go through it, but also who value and benefit the support and really use the support to the full extent as well. And I work a lot with my clients on their mindset and understanding how that negative voice just tells us a whole pack of lies all of the time.
Yes.
And we really have to listen to our hearts, because that's where the truth comes from.
Yeah, yeah. I think that is so crucial. And even though, yes, it's a medical condition, and for many women, there are medical issues related to your uterus,
Absolutely.
tubes, ovaries, sperms, in men's case. So there is that medical part, but that medical part is really intricately linked to our mind, and especially with hormones. I think I always say this, and I find this is such a kind of ignored area. We never think of this, that all hormones are released from here, or their precursors, yes, which
Yeah.
then eventually release the hormones. Anything that affects our mind, any stress, any negative thing will affect our hormones. But this is not something that we ever talk about in modern medicine.
No, never, never. And thoughts, I think the other thing is that everything is about energy.
Mm,
And, negative thoughts are not good energy. Positive thoughts are good energy.
yeah.
And, I think that, I think there's an interesting thing of, have we all have this experience that when we're feeling really negative and we're feeling down and, things aren't going great in our lives, more often than not, we tend to get some sort of bug or virus or some
Yeah.
sort of sickness, if you like.
Or
When
we
we're
hurt
actually,
ourselves.
sorry, go on.
We hurt ourselves. Like if mind is so agitated, we have an accident, or we trip over, or we do something, right?
Yeah, yeah. And then, but when life's going good and everything's fine, we're feeling great, we're feeling upbeat and whatever, we seem to not get ill. And, there's a big connection there, because it is all about, energy and how we're vibrating, if you like.
Absolutely.
Thoughts have a big effect on the cells, and as you say, the hormones as well in our bodies.
Yes. And I think this is also Uh, and this is also where you can either do very superficial work, like people say, do the affirmations, just think of positive things. It's not as superficial or as easy as that. You have to do the inner work. You can't
Yeah.
just do the affirmations and write the affirmations on board and just think that that work is done if you still internally have doubt about it, And that is where energy and how, I mean, that is recently, for last 2 3 days, I've been thinking a lot about beliefs,
Beliefs are huge. Yeah.
right? Where are these beliefs coming from? So belief, what would you like to say on that?
What I said, well, beliefs, unfortunately, those beliefs starting in our child, they tend to start in our childhood. And we pick up many beliefs from, it's interesting, we have this saying, don't we, in English, that sticks and stones may break our bones, but words will never hurt me. It's
Okay.
absolutely wrong. It's totally the other way around, because words, just one statement from your mother when
Yeah.
you were a child could actually turn that into a belief that you just don't deserve to have a child, or you don't deserve to have a mother. And, as you're so right, we do have to, do the inner work. We do have to do that self-healing. And, for me, I've also just recently actually trained in becoming an angelic Reiki practitioner, because I want to help my clients more to do some of that inner healing, if you like, inner healing work. Before they actually, start to look to conceive. Because I think if we're in a better place as well, we're more in a place of self-love and, healing some of those traumas and things that we've gone through. That helps as well. And it helps as well in becoming, I think, ultimately a much better parent. And, we're human beings. We're not going to be perfect as parents, but with consciousness of what comes out of our mouths and, how we're behaving and how we're treating ourselves, we can then, I truly believe, step up to be a better parent. And I think, for me, I just want to see more children, brought into this world who, really have a sense of self-love and self-worth, and know that, they're eating the right food, they're looking after their health, because we're in a crisis, in this country currently with regards to health. And I don't think many people are aware of that. I think aware of that. But, unless we make some changes in the way we're eating, the way we're looking at life, the way we're dealing with life, and, and all of that sort of stuff, nothing's going to change. Things are going to get worse for people.
Yes. I mean, that is such a huge area about beliefs. And you're right. It is about what someone said. And we know that, we are made, or our psyche is made more or less in the first 7 years, 10 years of our life. What happens to us when we are younger, how we grow up with our parents. And some of the things I still remember, and clearly remember some of the incidents. And they're very little incidents, they're not kind of insignificant in 51 years of my life. But when I think about the impact it had on me, and same way what happens with fertility. And fertility is as I said, it's a medical condition, but then it has got this huge mind component to it. How are you thinking about it? That, do I deserve to be a mother? Do I deserve to have a child? Do I deserve to have a child's love? Or somebody said, or you have always seen your mother struggling with periods, and guess what, you that's your worldview, that's your view of periods. And so all of that, I was really thinking about it for the last few days, that how beliefs, what kind of things women might have heard, which is affecting their psyche right now.
Yeah. And I think, so often, as parents, if we're under pressure and stress as well, it's really easy to, when a child's playing up and things aren't going right, to just, something to come out of your mouth that you haven't really thought of the impact of it. And, I'm just as guilty as anybody else in that, for sure. But, I think if you can be conscious of that and aware of that, there's a chance for you to actually go, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have said that. Here's what I should have said. And you can actually explain to the child, well, actually, I said that, but actually that was really not good of me to say that, and things like that, to really sort of, take it back, if you like. But I'm, from my point of view, my childhood, you're right. And, one of the big factors that had a big impact on me is that my father was very, very critical of everything that I said, I did. Nothing was ever good enough. Well, what do you know? I've never felt good enough. I've always felt that what I do is never good enough. And, and even today, that's, it's not as bad, but it still pops its little head up from time to time. And it's had a big effect on me, actually wanting to speak and wanting to communicate and share, because I just feel that, what I'm saying or whatever, there's going to be something wrong in what I'm saying. And then I'm going to feel bad about it. It's and it's all of these things, and they do stay with you.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is what I want to highlight more. I highlight a lot, as you know, I do a lot of social media, just talking about these issues because this information is not out there. It is all information, is all either purely medical, and even that medical information is not really, there is no holistic stuff in there. There is no healing in there. It is very, very modern and symptomatic treatment. You have this issue, go for this scan, this operation, this IVF, and no discussion about how the body system is working overall. And I think it's not just only medical professionals issue, in that sense that some medical professionals are asking people to think about their health, but
Yeah,
people are not thinking about their health themselves because they are in that mindset that no, I just need to take a pill. Like, I get asked so many times, what is the best pill to get pregnant fast? And I'm like, I wish I wish it was like that. But I'm interested to know more about Hashimoto's, your journey with that. So it was, you had that, or you recognized it after having children,
yes, yes,
right? So tell me a bit more, because there are so many people who have it and they don't know it. Secondly, hypothyroidism, as we know, it plays up, or it shows up more during fertility journey when women are
yeah,
going through all of these issues. Um, Also, we know, you and I know, you spoke about gut health. It is a gut health issue. Thyroid is not itself is not an issue. It's a gut health issue. When gut
yeah.
is not healthy, thyroid starts to play up. So tell me a bit more. And also, you said it took you about 18 months. You slowly reduce thyroxine. And I know so many people who are on thyroxine, and the mindset is once you're on it, you're on it forever.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I was told, but I chose not to believe that because I know, because I'm me. That's the way I
Yeah.
my way of thinking. I don't know, and I suppose I'm blessed with this to a certain extent. Is that it's probably be on my gravestone that I like to get to the root cause of the problem.
Good. So yeah, so tell me, you were taking thyroxine. Were you taking any other supplements, medicines?
I well, in order to, I suppose. The sort of process that I went through, if you like, yes, I was looking at um, looking at other vitamins, but it was much more um, uh, um, if you like, rich, really based on diet and getting rid of. I suppose really sort of getting rid of the candida was the key thing, and getting the gut and healing, obviously healing the leaky gut was a really important part, because I think that what a lot of people don't realize is that you can be eating a healthy diet, but if your gut isn't healthy, and you've got a leaky gut, then no matter what you're doing, all the vitamins and minerals and the nutrition that you need isn't actually getting to all the parts in the body that it really needs to get to. So that it's really important in the first stages is to actually, and I think that the danger as well is today it's very much being sort of advertised as sort of probiotics and prebiotics, which are
Yeah.
great. That's not absolutely important, but they are not the quick fix of getting your gut into a really good place. It does need a specific protocol and a process that you
Yeah.
have to go through to really heal the gut and get into a place.
Yeah. So you worked mainly with the diet, and then correcting that and getting into rhythm with that, and candida, as you mentioned. And this is also another thing so many people have and they don't realize. And even worms, other worms
Yes,
as well,
yeah,
which is actually very common, which causes a lot of gut health issues also.
parasites, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then slowly started to feel better that side, and then you started to balance the thyroxine and start to reduce it,
Yes, yeah.
right?
But I think it was also working very much on my emotional self, and doing a lot of, you know, uh, working with other people on, not only learning all about, the negative mindset and how you can manage that and how to deal with it was a huge part. Also, understanding and doing healing around, and also a huge thing I think people don't realize as well is the whole process of forgiveness. And forgiveness not only for other people, but forgiving yourself is huge,
Wow.
because we
What
pile
did-
so much rubbish on ourselves
Mm.
and blame ourselves for so many things. But actually coming to a point of view of actually forgiving ourselves for things that we feel that, we're not good, we're not, haven't done right or whatever, has a huge impact on our body. But for me, I had a number of issues with both my parents, and having to sort of really look at those relationships, look at what I felt wasn't right and hadn't served me well, but also actually realizing in that some of the things that I first thought were actually negatives, I could actually start to see how some positives had actually come from those things as well.
Yeah.
Because they don't they don't always define us, but some of those situations make us then behave in a different way, if you like, and some of those are a positive side of things. And from my point of view, I became, I suppose, quite independent and self-dependent and things like that. And sometimes there's a negative to that as well. But, so many things in my life, I'd actually gone for challenges and challenged myself, which probably if, some of those things hadn't happened in my childhood, I wouldn't be that person who actually, sort of feels the fear for things, but actually puts myself out there and actually goes and does it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, wow. Sorry. I think you mentioned about, forgiveness. I don't think people have even any idea about what we are talking about there, but it is so important. I've recently started working on that side of emotional healing. Forgiving myself for certain things. Did a ritual actually last couple of weeks, and I do gratitude practice, which has become part of my daily routine, daily living, but now I'm adding forgiveness to that as well. I forgive myself for whatever I did yesterday, knowingly or unknowingly, what I didn't do right. Because we are daily doing things which we can forgive ourselves for. But I feel there is so much healing that happens when we release ourselves from that, and we release others from, if we are forgiving other people as well who have done wrong with us. But this is so beautiful that you spoke about it, and how it is linked to our gut and how it is linked to our health overall, and fertility being, the whole thing about fertility is it's emotional. You're trying to create a family, you're trying to complete a family, you're trying to create that legacy of yours with your children. And if anything that affects you at emotional level is going to affect this journey. But most people do not have this idea, and people think, oh, this is wishy-washy stuff, talking about forgiveness and talking about your emotional health. But I'm so glad you mentioned it.
I think to me, it's really important. And, I think that, and I think if, we've all, we all go through, things that have happened in our childhood. And by healing those, we can become, I think, I don't say a better person, but a more whole person.
Yeah.
And these things are sort of also tensions in our body as well. They cause tension, and that causes a form of stress as well. So, by releasing those things, and, and I think it's releasing as you're saying, releasing ourselves from, some of those guilt, some of those things that, that we feel bad about. But, we only act in life, if you like, for the most part, I would say, I think we all act from the place of having the best intention.
Yeah.
But we act from a place of best intention with only the knowledge that we have at that time in our
Yeah.
life. So, if we did something when we were 18 or 19 that we now regret, well, when we were 18 and 19, we didn't know much about what other things and knowledge of stuff that's going on. So
No.
we did what we did, knowing what we know. So I think, looking at those things and actually forgiving yourself for any of those things is a huge thing in releasing some tension and stress from the body as well.
Yeah. I think, that is also, I speak about that. We work on that with my patients. I'm sure you are doing the same.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's key.
Absolutely. And also the work that you just mentioned, that you are learning Reiki, this specific form of Reiki. I've done Reiki as well, 2 levels. I don't offer Reiki as such. I've done spiritual healing as well in the past. And healing has become just part of how I work, so I don't offer healing sessions separately, but it is just part of how I speak about things and how making it more wholesome for people, not just thinking, oh, this is medical stuff and just take this. It's not that. It is asking deeper questions like this. Like I asked patient or person who was on the call, why this is important now, right?
Yeah.
It is so crucial to know this. What is your motivation? And also, what we don't realize is how much energy is tied up in those unresolved emotions, anger, guilt, fear, forgiveness. Somebody said something to us, we are holding on to that. So if we are holding on to that, we don't have capacity for something else that we want to bring into life, right?
Yeah. And
So
I think it's interesting because I quite talk about, like with stress and stuff. And stress is, is one of our ancient ancient systems, if you like, that runs in the body, the fight and flight system. And of course, back in the caveman days, if we, that sort of engaged, if you like, the fight and flight system, because we were running from like a saber-toothed tiger, and we were running to save our lives, if you like.
yeah.
And when you're in that moment, your body's not going, oh, okay, I think we'll conceive a baby today. Because, you're running for your life. Your body's putting all its energy into making sure that you run like hell so that you can get out of that dangerous situation. The problem that we're in today is that we're not in those dangerous situations, but we're creating that fight and flight situation, if you like, about things where we're not really in, huge danger as such for our lives. But the hormonal processes that are going on are just the same. So, if you're really, really stressed and you're not actually managing your stress, then the body's going to say, well, actually, I'm not ready to conceive at the moment.
Yeah, it is. And again, it is. I mean, we can talk about this whole day, but it is, most of the people think of stress as the very superficial stress. I'm stressed out, and right now I take something for de-stressing myself. But it is not just that stress. It is the deeper stress about all the emotions that you are still carrying on, and how that is internally holding you back from really relaxing, into this new identity, right? Because being a mother is a new identity that you are stepping into. And if there are things that are holding you back, then it is not going to help your body to feel that safe and that being in a happy place to conceive. And I do feel that there is it is about relaxation, but it is not what typically or superficially we think of relaxation. It's not that. It is relaxation from all of this, doing the emotional work, the inner work that helps you to release you, as a human being. So tell me about the Reiki that you're doing. How does that work?
Basically, well, I love this form of Reiki, and I'm going to step into the very woo-woo side of things now, because basically I'm working with angels. when I'm doing with the healing.
Okay.
And not only do I have my own healing powers, if you like, and it's something that equally it's interesting for me as well, because I've been aware of the fact that I have this healing ability, particularly in my hands, for quite a while now. But something in me, if you like. So I'm being very brave today sharing this, because it's something that I've not been comfortable with sharing for quite some time. But I suppose it's interesting that I feel that, if you want to put it that way, that the universe is giving me this big nudge, that there are a lot of people out there in the world who, I can help, and who need healing, and who need to, help with, releasing some of these things, and not only necessarily in the situation of fertility, but just generally. But obviously it's important as well, if you're looking to want to become a parent, that we do release some of these things and heal them, so that we can go forward, not only to prepare our bodies and prepare ourselves to really be ready to conceive, but also to really go forward and step into that new role of motherhood, in a place where we feel more at one with ourselves, and we're more in touch with who we are as a person.
And also the babies are like angels, themselves. So
absolutely.
Right. So it is no, it's not woo-woo for me, but I know for most people it is, and because that's something most people don't understand, and we dismiss, but we still are quite primal in the way we behave and how our bodies and minds react. We still are emotional fools. Doesn't matter how much education you have. I'm highly educated, but still it makes you cry when you look at certain emotional stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, well, for me, it's a lifelong journey. And I think that we release stuff, if you like, and we can heal stuff. It's like peeling an onion, I think is the way to describe it. And when the time is right and we feel it's right. But I think the other thing is, if we're so busy in life and we're rushing around like a mad thing, and we're not taking that time to sit quiet and really just focus in on ourselves and just be at one with ourselves, we can actually not see the signs that we're actually ready to actually move to that stage of actually releasing some of these emotional traumas and issues that we need to get rid of. And things will appear when the time is right.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you done any work with people who are trying to conceive with their families?
I haven't actually, but that's something that that's an interesting thought to really sort of consider and look at.
I haven't done it either. Not with the families as such. Otherwise, I mean, I have treated family members, for their own things, but not as part of their fertility journey. Not as much, maybe once or twice. But that is something, just it popped into my head that, because in certain cultures, as you know, I'm Indian, and then we have got the whole family is involved sometimes in trying to conceive, and there are other cultures like that as well. But this is just fascinating to know, and how we are working. I work quite similarly, working on the whole thing about emotional health and physical health, and then natural health, all of it tied in to support the woman. And so what is your current patient, somebody you are working on, what is going on with their health?
I think it's interesting. I mean, when I start working with my clients, I run through a sort of health questionnaire to actually have a look at what's happening with the sort of key 9 systems in the body. And I think one of the things is that, people, when they come to me, and if you ask the question, well, do you think you're healthy? People say, yes, they are. But when we actually delve down and get deeper into it, it can come to quite a shock. And I think because people don't realize that, the physical symptoms of something wrong don't tend to appear for, could be years, if you like, but things are already, deteriorating underneath. So I think that, I've recently worked with a client, actually really, it's been an absolute delight because her husband is totally on board.
Oh, nice.
And, and he realizes that he needs to be doing some things differently and needs to be looking at his health. And it was such a joy, actually, as well, because he actually came on, popped his head in on one of my calls with my client. And he said, "Oh, I'm so glad that you're supporting my wife. It's really wonderful." And, and that was just so lovely to see. Unfortunately, it's a rarity. And I would really, love to be working more. I love to work with people as a couple because it is important. It is a joint venture, if you like, and both parties are, both there. And I think one of the things that one of the clients I worked with was that they were both, she was sort of going 37, 38. She had PCOS, but she was also seriously overweight as well. And they've both they've been trying for 10 years. They've gone for IVF. They've been turned down because of her weight. And, we worked together and for 2 or 3 months. And within 2 months after we worked together, she was pregnant. She had a healthy baby.
Oh, nice.
And, those sorts of things are, and as you say, I so believe that, even if you think IVF is the only route because there are physical issues going on, just actually going through the process of preparing for conception is so important. It is far more complex than I think people, really think it is. And taking a holistic approach is vital. And, and getting your partner on board, is really important too, because I think, it causes stresses and tensions in the relationship because, if somebody's not really on board, you're going to let's be true, you're going to get irritated, you're going to get frustrated. And then that again is causing tension.
I know. I spoke to, he is the head of menopause unit in UCL. We met at a meeting and I was asking him we started talking about fertility and I said, "What is wrong with men?" He said, "Please, if you have an answer, tell me," because I was referring to the fact that they don't come for tests. And so many men, when you look at it, they don't even go for sperm tests. It's like, "No, I'm fine." And I am shocked to see it is across the board. You would think that, okay, so, sometimes we say, oh, certain cultures or certain ethnicities, because they're not well educated or because they're not as progressive, but it is across the board that men are not as forthright and they are more scared about it. But it was so funny. He said, "If you find the answer, tell me how to bring them to the clinic."
I think the factor I think that men don't realize and isn't talked about either is that even, there's this sort of concept that men can conceive, babies when they're in their 70s and things like that and 60s. But, the reality is sperm quality declines with age, just as egg quality, is an issue for women. And, it's important from that point of view that, men also, look after themselves from a physical and health point of view, but also obviously, having children younger is better too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's linked to so many things. How fertility is linked to. I was listening to this interview, and some people obviously have strong views about both the men who were talking about it, Elon Musk and Jordan Peterson, but they were talking about relationships. And I didn't think of it from the other side because Jordan Peterson was making the point that because relationships are an issue these days, there are women equally are not really committing to the relationships. We are seeing the decline in people having children, and Elon Musk also, they both said the same. Data is pointing out to that. So I'd never thought of that point. I know that fertility causes an issue in relationships without a doubt. People are on the breaking point by the time they come to you or to me. But it was fascinating to hear that discussion where they spoke quite a lot about half an hour. They were talking about how fertility and the birth rate is affected throughout the world, and especially here, as you know, in the UK, we are trying to encourage people to have more children, especially the typical British families as well, because it is not enough. We don't have enough new babies being born.
No, and it's a global issue
Yeah,
that we're not replacing populations.
yeah. So yeah, relationships, and it has an impact on your financial situation. It has an impact on everything, and on your family situation, how you connected to your families, because families would love you to have kids, and when you don't have them, it becomes that disconnection, because I mean, for example, my kids are only 16. I'm already thinking about them having kids. you know so
I think, well, yeah, you're right. I mean, yes, if people choose not to have children, I think that's absolutely fine. I have no problem with that. But also, I recognise what you're saying is that grandchildren, going forward and things like that, does sort of create this sort of cohesion within a family. And I
yeah,
think one of the sad things about modern life is that I think that this whole concept of family is breaking down, and I really don't think it's actually for the good for any participant in that situation,
no,
because I think we just missed out. People miss out of not only the love, the affection, but also it's about the wisdom and the support as well that people can bring to the whole party
yeah,
in this situation.
yes. Well, I'm encouraging mine to get have kids early, so that I can be, while I'm healthy, I can support them with their kids.
Yeah,
So
I think also, I think that I think, I don't know, but my this is just my personal view, and many people can disagree with me. That's fine, but I also feel that we've seemed to have got into a mindset of we have to have everything in place. We have to have a nice
yeah,
house. We have to
yeah,
have the nice car. We have to be able to afford good holidays. We have to be able to afford to buy, all of the hundreds of toys and whatever a child wants. But somewhere in that, we've actually lost touch with what actually creating a family is all about. And so many children now have, everything that they want and need, but actually some of the things that they're craving is actually attention and love and
yeah,
affection and conversation and coming together, with their parents and the family. And I really feel too many people are, children have got to do this activity after school, they've got to do that activity, they've got to do this activity, they've got to do that activity. And
mm,
somewhere in there, what a child really wants is just to spend some time
yeah.
with their mum, with their dad.
It is.
And it doesn't matter. It could be just sitting, watching a film together, playing a game together,
Yeah.
doing some cooking together.
I totally agree, and I am becoming more and more mindful of that whole scenario and situation, because even when parents, I mean, modern families, even when they are going on holiday, what they're doing is you have all inclusive holiday where you are not really spending time with each other. Children are spending time with other activities, you are spending time doing something else. There is very little time that is being spent as a family where you sit down, and even if you don't do anything, like my kids will, they just put their head on my lap, and they're just sitting, and just to be able to feel each other as human beings, I think is so crucial. That's the connection that I feel is missing more and more.
Cuddles, 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 cuddles. And as you're probably well aware, cuddles have been proven to have a huge impact on our physical wellness and our physical body. And the longer you cuddle, the more benefit people get from having a cuddle.
It is. Yeah, well, we can promote more of that. You are already promoting, I'm promoting. I think we need a wholesome view. I think it's for every situation, every situation in life, we need a wholesome view. money by itself is of no use if you don't have someone to spend it with. Similarly, a big house is of no use if you don't have people in it, to fill it up. And same goes with health, with fertility, what you're trying to achieve. If it is not coming from a wholesome point, that you're trying to create something with, you're going through IVF after IVF. If you do have the children and then you don't have your own health, or you don't have, the
Yeah.
family unit breaks down, then what good is it then to have that baby you crave to have, and now you're on your own and you're looking after a newborn? So I think it's a wholesome view, which is more required, or more wise view, of things that we need to promote.
I totally agree with you. It really does need, just life needs a holistic whole approach, but also, we really have to make our health our number one priority.
Yeah.
I've been there, and I've worn the t-shirt where I wasn't,
Mm.
and that you will get, unfortunately, you will get wake up calls to say that you need to do something about this, and I, much prefer to get people to, switch on to the fact that, you need to, be looking after your health and eating a healthy diet and things like that, and making it a priority before you get to those stages where, things start to break down, and it's difficult, and life becomes difficult.
Yes.
And, and as you say, when you've got children, you want to be healthy so that you can be there and, bring them up in a
Yeah.
healthy, supportive environment. And, seeing so many children, being in that situation where at a young age they become a carer for a parent is terribly sad, because then, they're robbed of a childhood,
Yeah.
which isn't great.
And also, we need healthy children. That you mentioned it earlier. We need healthy children. Children are being born with far too many diseases, as we know. We know it is on the rise, and it is coming from parents' health. The more healthy parents are, the more healthy a child is going to be, and overall, what your lifestyle is. So, thank you so much, Sue. I know we are going over time, so you might. Oh gosh. Okay. Right. I didn't realize. Thank
No,
you
that's
so much.
okay. It's been
Thank you.
great talking to you. It's been lovely talking to somebody who's we're on the same wavelength, and it's always a delight.
Thank you for being here, and we hope to do this soon next year as well. I do have all of these sessions lined up until October, November, and then we'll take a break. But it has been wonderful talking to you and other experts like you as well, who are just, sharing this more so that we can highlight this more about holistic health. Is why I am doing this, as well as us having a good chat. So
Yeah, no,
thank you.
well, thank you for doing that, because I'm right behind you. More people need to know, because for me, it's like, I just like to see more children come into the world more healthy, but also have, everybody needs to be more healthy, because life is much more fun like that.
It is. It is. It is. Thank you so much. Have a great day. And thank you for everyone who's watching on replay, or ask a question, comment, compliment. All are welcome. Thank you so much. We'll see you next Friday.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.